Congressman. But of course, Mike Haridopolos represents Florida's 8th congressional district, and that's right next door to where Spirit Airlines is based. Congressman, it's great to have you back on Bloomberg TV and radio. Happy Friday. And I'm just wondering if you have thoughts on this. I know it's not right in your district, but just south of where you are, just south of Fort Lauderdale, is the home base of Spirit Airlines. And I suspect the administration's been in touch with the delegation when it comes to jobs in your part of the state. Is this a deal that could still be struck?
Well, it's only if it's a good deal for the taxpayer. I mean, I believe in the free market. We're all optimistic you can keep more of those low-cost carriers in place, but we need to look at the numbers because in the end, if we bail out, we're actually helping, always helping people in the long run. And so there are a lot of competitive forces out there, as your previous guest mentioned before. So if it works for the taxpayer, that's a good thing. But if it's something that is not, I think this is the reality of the free market.
Well, I guess we'll have to see what the president is ready to announce in the next day or two on this particular issue. Congressman, he didn't seem as excited about the prospect or optimistic about the prospect that he'd have something to announce when it comes to a deal with Iran. When he spoke to reporters earlier, he suggested he's not sure that negotiations will ever get there. He said Iran has proposed things that he simply can't agree to. What is your degree of optimism about a potential diplomatic path forward, or would you be surprised if the president made the decision to return to kinetic military action? And if he does so, would that take a vote from you and your colleagues?
Well, the president is going to make the right call for the American public. He has given up a lot to be our president, and he strongly believes that Iran is a long-term threat to not just the Middle East, but the entire world, as they evidenced by their ability to fire missiles now multiple thousands of miles. And remember, every president, Democrat and Republican alike, have recognized the threat of Iran. We have them on their heels at this point. If the Iranians continue to be not only bombastic, but to kill their own citizens, I think that you might see a return to kinetic activities because we need to eliminate this threat once and for all. We're all paying for it at the gas pumps right now, but we want to make sure that the lives are no longer lost because remember, since 1979, thousands of Americans have lost their lives, and hopefully this will be our last engagement with this corrupt, evil regime.
Yeah, $4.39 nationally today. It looks like you're just below that mark in Florida, Congressman. You're doing better. $4.28 on average in the state of Florida. But just to put a finer point on, the president said today before he got on the plane to go down to your neck of the woods, he's going to be in the Villages in just a short while, talking about some of the initiatives that he has pursued for retirees. He says that the War Powers Act is unconstitutional. Do you agree?
Well, every president says that. Since 1973, the presidential prerogative has always been the War Powers Act is unconstitutional.
I don't know. I remember George W. Bush going to Congress to make the case for an AUMF, right?
So it's one of the realities of it all. But as you know, the Congress will have a say. And they are, of course, working close with the administration. But most common sense people recognize that this problem in Iran is a real one. Fortunately, there's not been a huge death toll, but 13 is still too much. But we're challenged by a situation where you're dealing with madmen. Again, I can't stress this enough. Their own citizens are being killed by their government to the tune of 30,000, if not more. And so you're dealing with an evil regime here, and we're trying to deal with people who are absolutely irrational. And so we're going to try to bring this in for a landing, but if we need to continue the forces, we're going to need to do so. And the only way I would be okay with giving them any resources is if they turn over the nuclear materials that they've accumulated through the years.
Well, and Iran right now maintains that that's something they aren't willing to do. Just to continue the conversation around the War Powers Act for a moment longer, whether or not it's constitutional, when you're reading the law, Congressman, if you're assuming that indeed that law, which has been in place for decades now, is constitutional, and we have reached the 60-day mark since the president notified you and your colleagues that he was launching these combat operations, is the clock still ticking in your mind? The Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth suggested because we're in a ceasefire, it's not. But last I checked, we are still actively maintaining a U.S. naval blockade with military assets and military personnel involved.
Well, as you've seen already, there's been a few different votes on the war situation in Iran. We are conducting, I think, a thoughtful way in which to conduct the war in order to save American lives and to reduce the threat in the region, let alone the world. I've given the president a lot of leeway because, again, every president before him recognized the threat but chose different paths. If you remember, not too long ago, President Obama attempted to give the Iranians a lot of money and a lot of opportunity to get into the world economy. And instead, they use these dollars to continue their terrorist activities. And so President Trump has said enough is enough. At this point, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Should the speaker bring this up for a vote, I would gladly vote one way or the other, depending on the facts. But it's something where I think I support the effort in Iran because in the long term, we think it'll be beneficial for not just the region, but also the United States. And let's also not forget that even though we are struggling with higher gas prices, there's some relativity here. If you look at the Obama or Biden years during their presidency, adjusted for inflation today, they'd be $150 a barrel during parts of their presidency. So nothing new there. The second part of that is we're bringing on more oil here in the United States. We're being more self-sufficient. It's too bad we don't have the Keystone Pipeline, of course, that Joe Biden killed. And it's also a fact that we have, of course, going to have new oil coming out of Venezuela. Which will also help offset some of the higher prices we're all struggling with. But this is something I'd love to end quickly. But good policy is good politics, meaning the right thing to do here is to eliminate the threat from Iran, take away their nuclear capability, because we recognize, unfortunately, now they have the missile capability to shoot a rocket and potentially a nuclear weapon over 2,000 miles.
Yeah, I haven't heard the Keystone invoked in a minute, Congressman. I want to ask you, since right out that window behind you is the Space Coast, about the president's plans for NASA. And this is always important to our audience. We cover every launch here at Bloomberg, as you well know. We saw the budget proposal, and I realize this is the skinny proposal from the White House, but it shows a 23% cut to NASA. The president has pledged his support to the Artemis program and to NASA as a whole. He's taking credit for helping to rejuvenate the agency. Is that a real proposal? Will that become law, or is this up for debate?
Well, I would just say this. First of all, the president loves space. He, of course, created the Space Force. He's created a really opportunity for my community on the Space Coast. And he's put Jared Isaacman there, who really loves the country, given up so much to really rejuvenate NASA. And we saw this amazing, of course, 10-day mission around the moon for the first time since 1972 and a successful splashdown in the Pacific. These are heady days for us on the Space Coast, so we're excited about that. Last year was much the same as far as budget proposals, but as you know, when we brought it in for a landing, not only did we fully fund NASA, but we put almost $10 billion additional dollars in to help make sure we win this space race. And I think under the leadership of Jared Isaacman at NASA, and of course Ted Cruz here, and Dr. Babin, who's our House leader on space, we're going to win this space race, and we're going to put the resources necessary. And when you actually look at space flight operations, that's actually, the spending is going up. Some of the science capabilities we're going to look more closely at and make sure we get the most bang for the buck. But I think you're going to see that gap diminish because we want to win the space race.
All right, we'll leave it there. Congressman Mike Haridopolos, the Republican representing Florida's 8th District and the Space Coast. Thank you so much.